Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I did. I followed them in this competition, and they've done really well. Played some very good football, and we're improving all the time. I think there's still improvement to be had as well, which is a good sign with the World Cup coming up in the summer. So Phil has done a great job.
Do you ever get a chance to take in Cardiff City, ladies? I know you have weekends.
No, I've had too much on, I'm afraid. Yeah.
Yeah, but you think England as a football team are going the right way? Could they win?
Absolutely, yeah. I think they'll set themselves up now to having a bit of silverware. It's a big World Cup. But now everybody knows that England's going to be a difficult game now, so they just need not the stars, but they just need the people the players to sort of take the chances when they come, because they will get chances in these games now, and they're very solid at the back. If
they were to win it, or again do very well in it like they did last time, what do you think that would do for the women's game?
It would be fantastic. I heard Gareth yesterday. They asked him the same question if they won it, and he said, "Well, how would it mean to you?" He said, "It would make my job more difficult," which I thought was quite good. But we all want whatever sport it is, don't we? I loved the running last weekend, the indoor running. I thought the Scottish girl was fantastic. So I think everything's, you look for all the sports to do as well as you can.
Let's talk about Cardiff City then, injuries-wise. Big blow this week, wasn't it, with Sol?
Yeah, you've just got, I'm afraid you've just got to, it's gone now, and we've just got to look for 9 games without him, really. He'll not be far away from our thoughts, I'm sure, but he's not been able to have the operation yet because his knee was too painful. So he's got to wait probably another week before they actually operate on him. Hopefully swelling and everything goes down then and he can have it done. But, you do miss any top player at your club, and he's one of our top players. I think he's had a fantastic season. He's made odd mistake, which we know, but overall he's had a great season.
Even though he's away with injury, will he come back and speak to the lads? Because I'd imagine he's a pretty big influence in the dressing room.
Yeah, we talked to him before he shot off with his brace on, and I just said to him, I'd like to see him, if he's capable, I'd like to see him on the away games as well, because we've got some really crucial away games coming up now in the next few months, next 2 months, and I think Sol can play a big part in that.
Apart from Sol, then, how are you looking ahead of West Ham tomorrow in terms of injuries?
We've had 1 or 2 niggles. People haven't trained. I'm hoping that we're going to get a full house today. I don't know. There were 2 or 3 missing training this week with Knox. But I don't expect that to, hopefully. He's not said anything to me this morning, but hopefully they'll all train today.
So looking at this West Ham game then, going in 2 points adrift in the bottom 3, and then you've got this huge 3-week break.
I know. Yeah, it's not what you'd want really, but I mean that's how it's panned out really. You can't do anything about it, and then if we're also looking at if Man City get through the cup to another break there as well. So we don't know when the rearranged game's going to be either. Yeah, so it's a bit awkward at the minute.
Do you feel it is? It's that cliche, isn't it? But do you feel it is must-win, given that you're 2 points behind Southampton, they've got a tricky game tomorrow, and then after that you're facing Chelsea and Manchester City?
I don't think it's a must-win game. I think it's a very important game in the calendar, and because of the circumstances and who we got. But I think there are other games between now and the end of the season that will become must-win games, especially the teams around us. So we've just got to try and get something out of this game and be more positive than we have. The lads have been a bit flat this last week because it's understandable. It's probably the worst week we've had in the Premier League. And, I think you can see that the disappointment of not playing up to their standards, really. So, we've got to get back to that now against West Ham.
The 3 defeats in a row obviously is morale sapping. What have you managed to reflect and try and put your finger on what it's been, or a combination of things? I know you talked about errors a lot this season.
I think it's all about opportunities, really. I don't think we've had much luck. Going back to the penalty at 1-0, which I thought would have changed the whole game at half time against Watford, even though we were comprehensively beaten in the end. I think other things have gone against us in games as well. But I think you've got to make your own luck. So you haven't got to feel sorry for yourselves. I think we've been a bit down this week because of the goals we've conceded. Really, it's not just a matter of an individual. I think it's been more or less the team at times that have contributed. So, we've got to be better at that. And tomorrow, we played well at West Ham, missed a penalty, and then conceded silly goals. So we want to. We want to make sure everybody's right from the start tomorrow on the game.
And you've hit this West Ham team, it's full of talent, isn't it?
Yeah.
Any particular player that you worry about, perhaps?
I remember Vincent talking about, the wide player early on in the season. I said, yeah, he cost 45 million, Vincent. Anderson, wasn't it? Something like that. But this Snodgrass, who I had at Leeds, who I loved at Leeds, and Hernandez scores goals in the box. They've got the lad now who's going to become an England regular, I think, Rice in the midfield area, Lanzini. They roll off the tongue, don't they? It's a typical established team that spends, I think they spent a fortune in the summer, didn't they? And that's what we're up against. We've got to play against these teams, and that's why we've got to show that togetherness again tomorrow, and not feel a bit sorry for ourselves. What's
the plans? Is it 22 days that you're between fixtures? So are you going away or anything?
No, we're not. With the international lads, it's been able to give them a few days off. The lads who are going away next weekend have not had a break really. So there's a number of those lads. We're going to give them 2 or 3 days off this week. But the other lad, we've fixed a game up behind closed doors next Saturday because you can't go 3 weeks. So we fixed a game up behind closed doors, and we'll be looking to have a week's training as normal this week.
Is that an inter-squad game or a local opposition?
Yeah, against another team in the Football League, yeah.
And for the first time, I would say, since you've been here, you've always spoken so warmly about the fans, but there have been perhaps murmurings, whispers of discontent with you, which...
Yeah. I think you get that. I think you get that everywhere you go, really. Listen, if it was a majority, I'd be worried. You're always going to get, even last year when we were going for the promotion, 3 weeks to go, there were talks, I know there were talks on certain part about, is he good enough to take us up? When we had a couple of sticky results. So, you are going to get that, and it does sell newspapers and time on the media side. You've always got people who know better than you as well, making an input. So you've just got to do your own thing really at a time like this. It's not something that I worry too much about. I think all I can do is the best I can, and then you worry about that. If I thought at any time that it would be better to have somebody different in the place, then I'd say good luck to them. If they thought that, it wouldn't bother me one bit. Are you with me? I've done the best I can, but I don't think that's the case. I think I'm the best one to try and get us over the line this year.
What about, I think it was Nathan Blake's comments about a splintered dressing room? Is that just a rumour? Is there any...
Well, I saw Nathan. I mean, Nathan is quite vociferous at certain times, isn't he? I think Danny Gabardon said it as well, or something like that. Unless they've been in the dressing room when I've not been around, I don't know. But if they come to watch training and things like that, what it is when you lose games like as heavy as what we have in the last 7 days, you are flat. Your body language is flat. Training's not the same. Are you with me? So we've got to get that disappointment off. I think if anybody's quite welcome to go and talk to any of the lads off the record behind my back. It doesn't bother me, and I don't think there's any rift whatsoever. I think there's disappointment in the camp, and I'd be very disappointed myself if there wasn't disappointment in the camp after 2 results like that, because I don't like getting beat. So it's one of those that we just got to try and close our ears. It's usually a talk of, am I picking the right team? Is that player good enough, or should he be in the team? And you've just got to go along with what you suggest. Are you with me? What you think is the best team, and that's what I've got to focus on in the next 9 games. And
in terms of the best team, finally for tomorrow, what are you going to do about Saul Bamba being missing? Do you think?
Well, it's an easy situation. It makes my job easier, doesn't it? I haven't got much choice, really. So the back four takes care of itself tomorrow. And we've just got to, obviously, with 9 games, we've got to hope that we don't get any more injuries in that situation. We're a bit thin on the ground at times. striker wise, we're not taking our opportunities either. So we've got to try and both ends work harder to achieve what we need to do.
And the fact that Sol Bamba was joint top scorer.
I know. He should have had double figures this year. So, but I mean, he's been fantastic for me since I've known him, and we do wish him well. He'll be gutted at the situation, but that's why we've got to fight. We've got to fight like hell now to give ourselves a chance.
Neil, anybody in the situation that the players and yourself has been in, three losses, you're going to be a bit knocked sideways confidence-wise. I know the obvious thing is to sort of get things sort of going again tactically, but how do you get your players' confidence back sort of psychologically? Are you a sort of a put a rocket up their backsides, or a little bit of a, come on guys, believe in yourselves? How do you approach that? Because it's not easy to stay that, is it?
I just think in management it's all about trying to lift them when they're down, etc. And that doesn't change really. I think we have got some good players and one or two are playing below par, below what we know they can do, and so it's how I can get the match winners and that into a team. Are you with me? And how they can lift the confidence. Some of these lads have never experienced like this. I think one or two, I wouldn't say hit a brick wall, but similar situation. Are you two, one or two mentally? I don't think it's physical. I think it's mentally really at this level. To sustain the quality that we need at this level, one or two have found it difficult, and I can't really criticise too much because they've given me everything physically. I know they've given me everything physically, so that's all I'm asking them to do now is try and relax now. Don't let the worries get on your back now. Just try and be yourself and play like I know you can play, and let other teams worry about us. It would be nice to go out tomorrow and score the first goal. And see what the situation is. We don't very often do that, and it's difficult all the time coming from behind, etc. I know we've done well in this season coming from behind, but it's not. You don't want it to do that all the time. It's hard work at this level.
And how do you feel about people like sports psychologists? Is that something that you would consider bringing in at this sort of stage to help out, or would you rather stick to the sort of your tried and tested method?
Yeah, no, I think I am a sports psychologist. If I'm honest, I think you're a mixture of everything, really. I think the managers of today, possibly without the experience that I've got, probably feel they need something like that as well. Are you with me? But it's always been one of my strengths, really, that part of the game. And it's just a matter of building confidence up. And I think one or two of the lads do see somebody as well, are you with me, behind the scenes, and I don't mind that. I think if it helps them, then good luck to them. They've always been like that, one or two lads, and I think when they do it quietly like that, it shows they care, really.
Do you encourage people, I know Sol's a big loss as a leader, but he hopefully will still be around, but do you encourage people like Sean Morrison and Aaron Gunnison to talk to the younger guys and help them over scenarios like this? Is there sort of, are you getting your letter?
Yeah, I spoke to both those yesterday about the situation, and they've been doing just what you've said, really. One or two of the younger lads that haven't experienced it before, really, and it is such a massive step from where we've been that confidence does become like that. You stop thinking about how good you are. And you start looking at the opponents, and we can't be doing that. We've got to look at our strengths and why we are where we are. You talk about team spirit, but I look around teams around us in the league, and I feel we've got more than them in team spirit. Are you with me? So it's getting caught in between. We've just got to all regroup tomorrow, the young lads and the old lads, because when I was early on in my career. When we had success at Notts County, everybody said about the young lads, it was too much for the young lads. I found it the opposite at Notts County. The young lads played with the freedom, and the old lads were worried sick. And it was them I had to talk to. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's, the young lads in the squad. I think you're always going to get a lad that you drop or you leave out is going to moan, and they might moan to somebody who talks to somebody else who talks before you know where you are. It's, but you're going to get that everywhere, really. You can't keep 25 lads happy all those 10 months of the year. Well, that's the part when you lose games, you just doubt, you start doubting, and you have another touch, and you don't take men on, and you don't do what you would do when you've won 3 or 4 on the trot. And if you could put that into a recipe, you'd be a very wealthy person, because you have to get out of that. And I remember at the start of the season, was it 7 or 8 games before we won a game? And it was a similar feeling then. And then all of a sudden we beat Fulham and off we went again. So that's you always know in this game that's around the corner. You've got to try and get that Fulham performance when you've not won for a while.
I'm going to quote Nathan Blake as well. He did say as well about the players. Everybody admires the team spirit here, nobody doubts it, but also that he feels that the players need to perhaps be a bit selfish at this stage now. That they need to think of their individual reasons why they want to stay in the Premier League. Is that a useful tool, or do you want them to still be a collective? I
know what he's thinking about, but even Nathan, I don't think money comes into it at this level. They're all well paid, and I don't think they'll miss out on a lot, and they'll not get the bonus, and they'll not do this and that. But I just think if you could tell the lads, look, you're going to play 9 games out of your skin, I think that would be more important than the money side of it, if I'm honest. What they don't want to become is, they've got an opportunity to still be Premier League players next year, and I think that's the motivation. It should be on them. How much they want to be motivated by that, and that means everybody taking a bit more responsibility, really, not just the strikers in scoring, but every department. The defence have got to do better, the midfield lads have got to do better, the contribution from all the teams got to be better, and we haven't got to, we've got to go at it from the start as if it's the first game of the season tomorrow, really.
Joe Bennett, we were talking to yesterday, and he said he sees these as 9 cup finals now.
Who's that, sorry?
Joe Bennett.
Oh yeah, Joe, yeah.
Saying this. Do you welcome that attitude, that he's viewing it like that, or do you think that might be putting a bit too much pressure on him?
No, I think that's correct. I think sometimes you talk a good game, and I'm not just saying Joe. I just think the lads, we stop. The time's come now to stop talking. The time's come now to do their own jobs and make sure it's not their mistake, and it's that, and they are a team, and they get together, and the strikers get together. So the time has come now to do it on the pitch now. So I don't take much interest in what my players say, if I'm honest. I think we've just got to do it on the pitch now, because time's running out.
Final one from me, just harking back to International Women's Day. You obviously love football. Football's in your DNA. To any young girls out there who might be thinking, I quite fancy getting involved, or I'd like to get involved, but I'm not quite sure whether I should. What message would you send to them about getting involved with the game?
Well, I think the ladies' international team has really brought it to the fore now, football at this level, and I think it's stepping up every week. You've only got to look. I was listening to Phil Neville. You've only got to look at the number of girls now that are playing football at a young age. Now, when I started, I would never have thought in a million years this would have happened. Are you with me? And now, I would have never thought that probably the best assistants in the leagues are females as well. Are you with me? All those years ago, but they are now. They're really good, and you've got to take that off. And I think the culture of the game now means that they're enjoying it. You can see how much they enjoy it in training and things, and ability stepping up. Some of the tricks and things that they do, and the tactics are there. But from a kid's point of view, what can be healthier than after school going and having a training session, and it's better than on your bloody computers, isn't it? And fiddling with your phones and your iPads. The girls are getting out now, and I can see a big future now in the girls' game, in the female game, because I think girls are starting 7, 8 years of age, 9 years of age now. I talked to my grandson Charlie, he's 8, and there's a girls' team up there as well, and I think it's all catching on now, and that could only come from the coverage and the success that it brings. So, and hopefully, the money, the clubs, we don't forget the ladies' game when we contribute money going around especially like the Premier League and things like that. I think there could be a little bit more diverted into the women's game as well.
What about you? Would you ever manage a women's team? Is that ever on the Neil Warnock agenda, or do you think you've kept yourself enough now?
I don't think you can ever say no to anything, really. I mean, I retired 20 years ago, didn't I? and I'll be written off again, no doubt, and I'll do this. And I can't tell you, I don't know, even when I leave Cardiff, I don't know whether that will be my last club, even if I think it is. You don't know what happens in 3 months, 6 months. You don't know about health-wise. There's so many atrocities now, I'm going off the subject now, but when I read about the knives, I look at these kids that are, oh dear me, and you look at your own kids, you just don't know what's around the corner, do you? So I think we've just got to, I think I've just got to take the old thing each day as it comes, really. And I'm sure these next 8-9 weeks, whatever it is, will be a very tough period for me. But you've got to show how to roll up your sleeves, really, in this situation, because there's still clubs below us that they probably wish they were on our points, and we've done brilliant to get 25 points. So we haven't got to stop at that. We've got to try and make sure we just keep 1 or 2 people nervous above us.
Good luck with all of it.
Thank you very much.
Neil, you said you're a sports psychologist. Is your job in the next 9 weeks going to be more psychologist than tactician, do you think?
Yeah, it has been really for a few months. It was last year as well, Rob, if I'm honest. I think, if you'd have seen us after the QPR game, having lost, was it 4 on the trot or something like that, you wouldn't think we'd win another game, are you with me? And I think, once again, we had a difficult period after that as well. It's just, you only think about your own problems, really, and you don't think that other people have problems. So you've just got to get over it as quickly as possible. You've got to try, and as much as it's probably the most difficult part for younger managers as well, is not reading too much into opinions. And I know Dominic's there as well, but not just Dominic. I don't mean the local, I mean everybody. You've got to try not to have too much, because opinions are opinions, you know what I mean? You've got to try and focus on what you believe is the right thing, and try and get through that sticky patch when you've had, because I think we've only lost 3 in the last 5. Do you look at it like that? Everything depends on how you look at things, really. I think probably the youth, some of the younger lads have not, like I say, not seen it happen to them before. A dip in form or lack of confidence type of thing. But, just one thing in a game can lift that, can change that completely. And we need our top players now to to give us a lift, to lift the crowd, to get us up there again now. And, that's what I'm hoping happens tomorrow.
So someone like, I'm not signalling this one, but Josh Murphy obviously wasn't in the squad on Saturday. If he's back or whatever, one thing can change his sort of demeanour.
Yeah, I mean, I left Josh out altogether because he was he's been very, very poor for a couple of weeks. And his training it is lack of confidence. His confidence was shot, really, and yet he's one player that can just spark us off. So you know that these players, it doesn't take much to get them going, and you've got to try and get them going. Your Victor Camarasi, I know he wasn't 100%, but that he had to play last week to get a game under his belt. Are you with me? And he'll be a lot better this week. So I think it's just a matter of trying to get the best out of what you can, and pick the lads who look as though they're on song. Are you with me?
And a united dressing room is absolutely essential. They talked about, Michelle mentioned the word splintered dressing room. Yeah,
that's I mean, I'm not going to say anything else, am I? I'm not going to say, yes, I agree with you, it's split down the middle. I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, I suppose they'd like me to say that. All I would say is, I did have a chat, just in case I've missed something. I did have a chat with a couple of younger players and a couple of senior players, just to make sure I've not missed anything. But they say they've never seen a spirit like it. They're disappointed, really. I think that's the biggest thing. With the flat after the 2 games, they're really disappointed on the way that they performed individually and as a team. So, that's the main thing, is that they all know they've got to, put a shift in tomorrow to try and change all that.
Have you seen a difference since Southampton just went the 2 points ahead, or does that just, you're on about you've got to be focused and have your mindset on what you can do. But everybody reads league tables. For a long time, you've been outside that bottom. Now you're in it with that 2-point gap. Does that make a difference to the mental?
Well, I don't think it makes a difference. I just think it's, the league table normally doesn't lie. And we've managed to keep out of there a lot of the time, and we could be out of it tomorrow night. We could be out of the bottom three. You don't really know what's around the corner. Nobody wants to be in there, but we've got to concentrate on ourselves really, and not look at the table or worry about other teams, because there'll be more than Southampton still worried about about going down, and we've got if we don't get wins and points on board, it doesn't matter what happens. It's down to us really. We've got to put pressure on other teams.
Last couple. I think you saw the VAR incident at PSG. What do you say to your defenders now when they jump up to try and block a shot?
Well, I mean, if there weren't a VAR there, it wouldn't have been given, because the ref never even saw it, did he? So my lads, I think next season is going to be very interesting, because they're talking about doing away altogether, aren't they, with the word deliberate. Now you see some of, the skill of these players in the Premier League now. You can't tell me that they'll be working on an art of making sure they play the ball onto somebody's hand. They're that good, so I don't know whether it's going to be a minefield or not. I'm really glad about VAR. I wish it had been 20 years ago, because I still think the bigger teams tend to get the better, get away with things that human eye can't see, whereas the VAR, will get 90% right, 95%, because it is so quick now. The referees need help in that respect. I was delighted when he gave it, if I'm honest, because I'm English, and it was an amazing result. So but it is going to be, I think that the handball decision would have probably been given by 60% of referees, and would probably not have been given by about 80% of people that's played the game. Because the word deliberate, he's turned his back on him and it's hit him on his arm. It couldn't possibly be deliberate. But, it's somebody sat in a little room somewhere who's probably never played the game, but he's a good referee. And that's what we're going to be up against, isn't it?
And last one, on Sol, you suggest he's not going to play this season, obviously, given everything. Have you got any doubts in your mind he's coming back? He's that sort of character? Because he's not the youngest in your squad. No,
he's not. He's been so good on television, I think it might give you a bit of a doubt. He could be the next, with charisma and all that lot, good looks. What more can you get? I might end up looking after him in my retirement. But, he's I wouldn't put it past him. He's such a great attitude, and he lives for everybody. He lives for the playing the game. He's such a super boy. So if he wants to come back, I'm sure he will. I'm sure he'll want to get back, and as soon as he gets over his injury, he'll be looking at times and because it's a hard job when you've had an operation like that. Mentally, it's an hard job. Quite easy. I think as you get older as well, the temptation might be there. Are you with me? But I don't think he will. I think he'll want to get back fit and play again before he retires.
Wish him the best.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Neil, you said a couple of weeks ago about wanting people in the trenches with you. Callum Patson's been in and out recently, but he's one of those who is in the trenches, who fights for everything. Have you got to sort of find a role for him?
Patter's Patter, really. You just don't know what's around the corner with him. He's a great asset to have in the squad. I'm not written him off anywhere, really. It's just that, would you pick him in front of Niasse? Would you pick him in front of Ken? It's about opinions, really, all about that. Would you put him at right wing back? Would you put him at right wing? Would you put him in midfield behind the striker instead of Camarasa? There's so many things. He's just a great lad to have in the dressing room. He doesn't give me one bit of trouble. If he's playing, if he's not playing, there's no moaning about him. He trains really well. He's an absolute credit to the club, really.
Was it almost easy having when 3 people were out
Yeah.
of form and you had an easy team to pick, and now it seems a bit more difficult to pick.
It is, yeah, it is, because as you know yourself, when I joked with you about last week's team, how do you get all these players in and play a system that can prevent the opponents steamrolling you as well at the same time? It's catch-22 really. You've got to try and be organised and give yourselves as much chance you can of winning it. And sometimes you can't get. There's 1 or 2 players very difficult to get in a team at this level that you can give them the position that they're probably best at. It's a manager's. That's why I say the back 4 now is. I ain't got no more problems with that this year. So we just got to, we got to get on with that. But I don't want my strikers to get injured to make it easier for me. I'd rather still have a choice.
Can you always play Nias and Zahor, or did last week tell you can only really play one of them? Well,
it depends. I think you can, like Southampton, where you can play your 5-3-2. Are you with me? You could go to a 4-4-2, but are we strong enough? I still think Gunners is a vital part really in the running. So you've got to look at all them. Are we good enough in midfield to play 2? It's looking at the opponents. There aren't any weak opponents at this level, so you've got to try and give yourselves a chance at the same time. We can all win games on paper, but the reality is it's an extremely difficult league. You do have to be organised, and you can't possibly play everybody that you'd like to play, really.
The psychology point you mentioned earlier on, you look at last year at the top of the table, battling to get over a line. This year, bottom of the table, trying to get over a line. What's the difference, and can you hold them over it?
I don't think there's a lot of difference, if I'm honest. I think when you have a spell when you're top of the league and you hit a patch like we have done in the past, you've got to get them out of that as quickly as possible, really, for the same objectives. You want to get more points on board, and right up to the second last game, I remember reading the papers and we'd blown it at Derby County, I think, with 2 games to go last year. That was it. That's us done. Yeah. So you've got to try and keep yourself focused on what you can do to try and change it and get the results. That's what you've got to try and do. And it's far more difficult at this level because we're playing against your £45 million players every week.
But you managed to do it last year against all expectations. Can you do it again this year?
I think so. Yeah, I think the lads are very positive. I don't see any breaks in morale. I just think it's confidence. We need the players that you've talked about today to hit the heights for 9 games, and it's quite possible that. But I can't tell you whether they're going to be able to do that. Certain lads, but we need our match-winning players to hit form now in the running, because we're going to need goals. Okay, thank you. Thank you, lads.